This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em a shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down. Aiming for greatness, no settling.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Phil All Caps back with another episode of the Knicks Nightcap with my guy right here, the flyest in the industry. We got my guy, Mr. Diehard Eru of the Diehard Knicks podcast, and we're just going to catch up. We've been gone for a little bit, just figuring out schedules and everything like that in the new year and the holidays. So it's been a little bit. Eru and I are going to kick off the show. Apollo will join us in a little bit. So thank you for those of you guys that are here. Shout out to my guy, Holiday Hex. God bless everyone. Appreciate you so much for being in the building. We apologize for the late start. My microphone was acting crazy. So appreciate you guys for being flexible. If you guys can, if you're watching, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. Do us a favor, hit a retweet, post it on Instagram. Whatever you guys can do is a total blessing. We appreciate all the love and support. And we're looking forward to kicking it with you guys. So shout out to Holiday Hex. Shout out to Keith Watkins in the building and anybody else that's rocking with us right now. We appreciate it. We got a lot to talk about, man. It's been an interesting few days. But how you doing, bro? Like, forget the Knicks. Like, how the frick is just Eru, my brother from another mother, just hanging out? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I work too much, bro. I don't know. That wasn't part of the contract when I got married and stuff, man. You know, I feel like it's supposed to be an equal thing, but I think I'm, like, doing way too much, man. So that's what I've been doing, man. And I'm doing good, you know. I lost 50 pounds last year, so now this year I'm working on the six-pack. So.
All right. So you lost 50, I gained 50, so we just exchanged it. It's a beautiful thing, you know. Yeah, this year, though, I'm in my 40s now, so I got to tone it down a little bit and start hitting the gym a little bit and working out. So we're stable in one location for about a month and a half. So that's going to be my determination to actually get out there and work out and not get too busy. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking to slim down and be energetic for my boys.
Where you at now? You were in Indiana before, right?
Yeah, so we were all over the place. Right now we're back in Lakeland, Florida. We're spending about a month and a half out here helping some friends out. They just had a baby. And so we're going to be here helping them for about a month and a half and then hit the road again. I'm actually hoping that by playoff time, we could be up there and I can try to lock in some watch parties and some games while we're up there. So I'm hoping that, the Knicks do really good in the playoffs and I can be there, during April and May and hopefully a little bit longer depending on how we do this season. So that's the goal. The goal is to get out there and be there for that month. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, that's dope.
Yeah.
What's equally dope, man? I see you got the Diehard Knicks logo hat there. That's
yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Looking fresh. You gotta support my guy. Still got the sticker on my computer right there. So you know how we do. Gotta support. And if you guys don't know, outside of this show, Eru's got his own show, and he also does, live broadcasts of some of the games. So support. Head over to his channel. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. But let's start talking Knicks, bro. All right, because there's a lot that's been going on, and we actually haven't talked since before the OKC game, and we had actually, had some predictions and stuff like that, and I was talking with the crew from the Nick of Time show, and I was saying, with a team like that, we have to do what we're good at. We have to, make sure that we don't get too far behind, and me and Mr. Lee Escobedo, we were going back and forth, and we had kind of a little dispute of he thought we needed to try and match their three-pointers, back to back, that we needed to go in a 3-point war pretty much. And he was like, we can't go 2 for 3, da-da-da-da. And I was like, yeah, but they're, more accurate, in my opinion, from the 3-point line. Like, we have really good 3-pointer games. And then, like, last night, we have really, or 2 nights ago, we have atrocious 3-point shooting games. It's not like always consistent that we know that we can live and die by the three. So I was saying that OKC is the kind of team that you don't want to continue to shoot threes nonstop if you're not hitting your threes, because then you're going to get so far behind that you can't catch up and you can't win. And we did play a lot of mid-range game. We did play a lot of getting points in the paint, which I was glad to see. But we ended up taking that loss. For me, I wasn't too disappointed with that loss, though, because I felt like the effort that we put in was really good. It was just unfortunate that at the end of the game, because we had 3 quarters where we were ahead, like we were pretty much back and forth, but most of that game we had the lead. And then we end up losing 117 to 107 because of some poor, decisions made down the road. But what were your thoughts on that game? I know it was a little bit of ways from now, so we won't spend too much time on it, but your thoughts initially on that game.
Well, I'm right there with you, man. The Knicks, I thought they played a good game, but the Knicks have to understand where their strengths and stuff are. Our strengths is playing the team game, moving the ball, passing it around and stuff like that. And we were doing a great job. I believe I don't have the stats up here, but I believe we had a few guys that had 20 points.
Yep.
So then we waited till like 6 minutes in the fourth, I want to say, when we just flipped the script and we just stopped playing team basketball, and it was like four guys out and Brunson going 1-on-1. I just think we nip ourselves in the foot there, with that, when we do that. When we play team ball, everything looks great. So I don't know why. I don't know what happened. I don't know what shifted at the end there. Well, who made the decision to do that? Obviously, is one person, right? Tom Thibodeau. I guess we're going to be bashing him for most of the podcast. But it's frustrating, man, because I think that most of the frustration with the Knicks fans and stuff, especially with that particular loss, is that we play so hard just for us to piss it away at the end. So I just think that's the big thing there.
So the thing about that game that was frustrating, like you were saying, is that we were moving the ball a ton throughout that game. Hart had 19, OG had 20, Towns had 17, McHale had 24, Brunson had 22. Like, it was just a good-looking, like, stretch through and through. But in that last quarter, Josh Hart had 5 points. OG had 0, only took 3 shots. Towns only took 2 shots, had 2 points. Bridges only took 3 shots, and then Brunson took 9. And so it just seemed like we kind of hit a halt. And instead of going back to what we're good at, what was helping us win against OKC, we just kind of retracted from that and then did something else, which didn't help us in any way, shape, or form. But one thing that I thought was cool is a lot of times when you play teams, they don't give the credit that your team deserves. They always kind of like tiptoe around like, oh, well, we just, we didn't play well. We're not good, tonight, this, that, and whatever. But SGA had nothing but stand-up things to say, talking about how we were a really good team. And he acknowledged, like we were down 3 quarters, but at the end we were able to pull it together. And so I thought that was pretty cool to see him, just straight up just give the praise to the Knicks for their hard work on that game, and be willing to just give the credit where it was due. So I was thankful for him doing that. But I was a little disappointed to see us take our foot off the gas, because I really feel like we could have won that game, which would have been a really cool game to win.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that too. Like, even during the game, the guys are playing really, really hard on both ends. It was physical at certain times. They were getting their little aggression off and stuff, but they still respected each other. Like right after the game, everybody was cordial with each other. Like just some sportsmanship, shaking each other's hands and congratulating each other. So I appreciate that, man. So I mean, just looking forward to Friday. We played a rematch on Friday, man. There's no animosity. It's just like, they're a good team, man. So, and they acknowledge that we are a good team. So, it just that I appreciate the sportsmanship of that.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like at the end of the day, the sportsmanship of that, because it's weird because we don't live in the era of basketball that we grew up on, where there was actual rivalries and actual like people that didn't like each other off the court, like you'll get here and there a little bit, but like to this day, Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas, can't be in the same room without it being like drama. We don't have that now, yet people will act like they have this like arrogance to them in post-game conferences, where they talk bad about the team and this, that, and whatever, but they're dapping them up and texting them hours later, so that's a little weird to me. So shout out to SGA for, being real on that. Shout out to my guy Fritz in the building. He just said we were in it until the last 5 minutes. I know that's why it's so heartbreaking. Shout out to my guy Andios NYK. He said hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Enjoy the show. My guys, thank you so much, Andios. I appreciate you. Picks for Timmy. Nice to see you. I don't think I've ever seen you in here before, so I appreciate you coming out. If you guys can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that retweet button. We'd love to get some more people in here so we can hang out and just talk Knicks. But let's move on. Let's move on.
Respect to Picks for Timmy, because he does have a wrench, I see. So he's like one of the moderators for this channel.
Oh, dope. See, I don't even know. Like, I'm on this channel, but I'm still the new guy, so appreciate you. So he said, I am an OG. You are an OG. Appreciate you. I'm just old, just not an OG here. So appreciate you. But let's move on to that next game, because the OKC game, there was promise there. We were happy about it. We were like, dang, if we play like this, this could be a problem, if we continue to play like this. And then we go into Chicago. All right. Chicago's one of those teams that you never really know what you're going to get. You can get the busted, like, yo, why is this team still together? Like, blow this up, move on, let these players get another chance somewhere else. Or you can get the Zach LaVine looks like he's a superstar again. And all of a sudden, you're getting your teeth kicked in. And that's what happened with us. Even with Towns scoring 44 and Brunson scoring 33, we lose to the Chicago Bulls 126-139. Yes, it was a back-to-back. We understand that. But this is where fans start to get a little upset, not that we lost in a back-to-back, but in a game that they felt like we should have won. And opportunities that we gave Chicago that we really shouldn't give Chicago. Obviously, we're a little more level-headed than some, but this is where all of a sudden Knicks Twitter starts looking a little bit different, starts having a little bit bigger opinions. So what was your thoughts on that Chicago game? What was, in your opinion, the determining factor of why we walked away with an L?
Well, number one, that OKC game, we had guys like everybody played 40 minutes in the starting lineup. So on the beginning of back-to-back, I thought it was ridiculous. And just to add on to the ridiculousness of it, there was a point in the game there where Tom Thibodeau had Brunson out of the game or whatever, just poor clock management where it's almost as if he was trolling us. Because we were complaining so much about them playing so many minutes in the first game, and then in the second game, there was times when we needed the guys to play because of momentum that was happening during the game. It's almost like he was trolling us and stuff, man. But the Chicago seems to have our number the last couple of years, especially certain players like Kobe White, for instance. Man, 33 points is not like a fluke. He destroys us. He's a Nick killer. A couple other players too that didn't play usually do well against us too. But once a guy like Kobe White has it going, that'll ignite other players. Zach LaVine is another guy. Josh Giddey I thought played really well that game, and it just made everybody else step up. Also, they had a shot to beat us that night, and they took care of business. They have a lot. They actually have a good team, man. To tell you the truth, on paper, when you look at it, you got LaVine, you got Vucevic, who's still basically doing what he's been doing. He's 20 and 10 this year. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, Kobe White, Josh Giddey, so that those are good players, man. So once you give them confidence and they have confidence, it's hard to beat a team like that, man. So
yeah. And what was crazy is, regardless of, your thoughts on minutes and all that stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but all of our starters, all of them, were in the negative on the plus minus. And I know that we don't focus much on the plus minus, but when it's all your starters, that gets a little concerning, like when all of your guys are considered like a negative for their time on the floor, as opposed to their starters, which, all of them but one were in the plus category. So it just looked a little bit different. And I've said this time and time again, and I'm going to continue to say it because I truly will die on this hill. When we get less than 30 assists, there is a huge chance, I would put 90% chance that we will lose the game when we have less than 30 assists. And this is one of those games. This is one of those games where we're at 27 assists. And the big thing to look at is the bench points. We had 17 bench points in that whole game, as opposed to their 31 bench points. Like our bench, when it comes to scoring, looks a little bit like, I don't know, just broken. Like defensively, they do things to surprise us. Like you'll see the defense of Shamit or the defense of Payne, and you're like, man, that's dope. Or when McBride's there, but there's just not enough scoring going on. And I also think it's because there's not a lot of bench players getting minutes outside of Shamit and Payne. Here and there you'll get some from Achua, but Achua's not really trying to score a ton, except for that game when he was lights out from three. But that's a big thing too, is when their guys are resting, like you got Levine resting, you got Colby White resting, you got Vucevic resting, and yet they're still putting up 31 points. That's something great to come back into the game to, because now you're just capitalizing on that. And instead of having to then regain momentum with your starting lineup, which we're starting to do as well. And like Nick Yak said, can't score if bench doesn't get minutes. It's facts. There's guys that should get some time, even if it just frees up some of our guys to come in a little more fresh. Like I'm not the minutes police, but when you see things like you saw the other night where guys are getting beat up, they're going to be a little bit less productive when they're holding their ribs or they're holding their knee, as opposed to giving them an extra 3 minutes to sit, bring in a bench player to do something, and then see what happens. So right here it says bench chemistry fell off a bit. No Deuce is a big loss. Of course, because that's the only real guy that gets a ton of shine is Deuce, So Shamit's starting to get more shine and starting to come into himself, but it's going to take time. Those are minutes that weren't his, and he wasn't healthy.
Well, the minutes too, man. Like once he gets in there, like what's his function? You know what I'm saying? And then like adding to the rebounds and stuff like that. You got OG and Mikal Bridges. These guys are our forwards. They don't rebound to begin with. And then like Shamit's, I think he's averaged 1 rebound for his career. You know what I'm saying? And he's supposed to be the wing guy. People are always trying to convince me, oh, Shamit's a wing. He's not a guard. He's a wing. But he averages 1 rebound per game. You know what I'm saying? So we have guys that are not in the proper role, not in the proper position. And then when it's time for them to produce or whatever, we're asking them to do stuff that they don't normally do. So back to like the rotations and stuff. Like we do have players. We have guys like we do have Jericho Sims. That's another thing. Jericho Sims plays 2 minutes one night, and then the next minute he'll play 20. That's not right either, man. If you're gonna play out of necessity, you got to find minutes from other times. And then when you use him, you have to utilize him in a way in a way that's beneficial to his skill set and to what the team is trying to do out there. Against Chicago, it would have been nice to have the extra bodies down there just to get rebounds and that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? And just like if you're coaching like in your kids like biddy league, church league or something like that, and they ask one of the parents, hey, do you guys want to coach one of the teams today? So I can grab a bunch of kids, get them out there playing, get some rotations going. I can tell who could do what just by watching the game. You know what I'm saying? So, at the professional level, I don't want to make that an excuse as if I'm some kind of like professional coach or anything like that. But basketball is basketball. It always will be just a kid's game. So you know that you can use certain guys to get certain results. You know what I'm saying? So you have to use what you have. And when it comes down to it, when we're struggling and stuff like that, you have nothing to pull from because you don't never play these guys. And then when you do ask for them to finally play, it's like, what am I supposed to do once I get out there? Because where's my role? What's because you don't trust me. There's no role for me.
Yeah. And one thing I'll say is I agree to a point. Like, it's obviously not just a kids game, or you and I, wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. We'd be out there playing it or coaching it. So it's a little more than, like the kids game. But I did see a tweet the other day that really made me think, and it showed a picture of Kolick and Emmanuel Quickly. And it was just talking about how, like, Kolick needs to get the opportunities, that Tibbs gave Quickly, to develop into himself. Or by the time we actually can see what Kolick can do, it's going to be in another uniform. But by the time he gets any rotation minutes or anything like that, it's going to be too late. His contract's going to be up. He's going to move on. He's not going to want to stay on a team that he didn't get any shine on. And I think that's true. Do I think that the kid's got things that he's got to work on? Of course. He's a rookie. His defense is subpar. But those are things that you develop, and if I'm a coach, and I truly believe that I am a defensive mastermind, the one thing I can teach then is defense. The one thing I can really pour into a guy that I believe is going to be great is defense. So it's hard because we're at a point where we go, but holy crap, Tibbs is actually playing 9 minutes for the 9 men here and there for the first time probably in his coaching career. Like, this is crazy. But at the same time, when you look and you're like, dang, like, some of those guys aren't really getting a ton of minutes. And when you look at some other, organizations that, are playing 10, sometimes even 11 guys, if they need it, then you're just like, all right, sometime, but I think that's nitpicking. Like I said, I'm not the minutes police, but we will talk about minutes in a little bit. Shout out to everyone in the building. I see a bunch of you has shown up. JT Riddick, appreciate you. Always here, always supporting. Nick Yak, appreciate you being in the building. Who else we got down here? We got Eddie C, appreciate you. Thank you for being here. Dorkosaurus, always good to see you. He said obligatory Tibbs minutes comment.
But I mentioned the whole kids game thing is, but like when you were talking about it, like you were talking about nurturing stuff, giving guys minutes, giving them a chance, see what they could do, and pouring into them. All that stuff is stuff that you do with children to nurture them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So like, they are playing a game. They're not playing. It's not like like life and death type of thing. They literally are playing a game. You know what I'm saying? So it's simple. It's like a simple thing. You have to utilize what you have. You can't make it more than it is.
Yeah. No, I feel you. All right. So real quick, for those that are the whiskey heads in the building, this is the time to grab a little drink. Whether you are a whiskey drinker or not, grab yourself a drink. It could be some Coca-Cola. It could be some water. It could be a nice little root beer. It could be whiskey, rum, tequila, vodka, coffee, whatever you want to get. But right now, it's time for a little bit of Phil Porto whiskey education. All right. And so right now, first I'll ask, what you got in your hands there, Mr. Eru?
Nothing. I got that box that you sent like a long time ago. There's some of these that I haven't even opened yet, man. So you think it's still safe to open?
Okay. So hold those, because I asked you and Apollo if you guys drank all those, and you both said yes. And I told you guys to send them back so I could get you samples.
Oh shit.
And you guys haven't sent them back.
Yeah, I still got them. Yeah, all of them are still right there.
All right, you need to let me know which ones you have available still, and we'll do them next week and the week after. But the ones that are empty, send back so I can get you some new stuff. Because right now I could be sharing with you. All right. Okay. So we're gonna go a little bit different. We've been doing a lot of bourbons, a lot of rye, and some rum. But today we're gonna do a Scotch. All right. This right here is from Compass Box, one of my favorite Scotch brands. Absolutely incredible. And shout out to them for sending me this bottle for review.
Wow.
This one's called Nectarosity. And so this company's kind of crazy. They're kind of groundbreaking. A lot of people thought that you should not mix or blend anything in a scotch. It was kind of frowned upon. And he kind of said, okay, whatever, I'm going to still do it. And he did, and it blew up. So this one right here is called Nectarosity. And so their whole thing with it, it's a 92 proof. It says whiskey meets patisserie, which is a shop where French pastries and cakes are sold. So it's supposed to be like a delicious, sweet pastry mixed with whiskey. And so their theme behind it is great pastry chefs are fueled by creativity and generosity, constantly enhancing life's sweet pleasures. So are we. We wanted a new word for that irresistible urge, and that word is nectarosity. And so it's crazy. Like on the nose, it smells like you're walking into a pastry like shop. It's kind of crazy. It smells that like croissant, like buttered croissant or chocolate croissant, cinnamon, citrus. Absolutely incredible. But then when you sip it, it's crazy, bro. It's like all sorts of flavors. It's got orange, peach, toffee, vanilla, honey, pear, and then a little bit of that like pastry, taste from the oven. It's absolutely delicious. So if you are a Scotch fan, cheers to you guys. This is delicious. It's called Nectarosity from Compass Box. You can find it at your local stores. Tell them Phil sent you. I'll get absolutely nothing from it. The store won't know who I am. They will not give a crap, but it'll make me feel good knowing that you guys said that. So moving on back to our Knicks. We got a
How did you find them? How about these liquors like this? How do you find out about them?
So you stay in the whiskey community and you kind of just learn, kind of like you do with sports. You fall in love with like knowing things about stats and knowing things about, the history and stuff like that. And you kind of go down these rabbit holes. And that's what I did, so I fell in love with Scotch whiskey, found out about this company through one sample. And they've been a brand that, I've loved. One of my favorite of all time is Compass Box. It's called No Name. And then they had No Name 2 and No Name 3. I've actually bought an extra bottle of each of those before they discontinued so I can save them till my kids turn 21 and I can crack it with my boys when they turn 21. So I got 14 years on one and 17 years on the other. But once they turn 21, those are getting cracked. So
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, Dorkosaurus is like patisserie. Yeah, patisserie, bro. It's really good. All right, it's good stuff. So I'm not a big whiskey guy, honestly, but I love pear, cider, and mead. Honestly, if you like pear and cider, this is one to check out. If you're not huge on whiskey because of like the spices and stuff that you get from it or the high alcohol volume that kind of burns in your chest, get something like this, the Nectarosity, or Compass Box Orchard House, which has like a whole bunch of apple flavor and stuff like that, which you would really like. And it's good because it's not flavored by those things. So there's no artificial flavorings in it. Like some places you have like apple flavored pear, brandy. That's stuff I stay away from. They're throwing in artificial flavor. This is flavor that actually comes from the barrel and how they age everything, which is incredible.
46% alcohol by volume too. I'm looking.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see right here. Nick Yak said, "I just been drinking Scotch on the rocks since 15, mostly Dewars and some Johnny, but I will look for it." Yeah, like I like Johnny Walker Blue. That's one that I like out of the Johnny Walker line. And then I also liked, the things that they did for the Game of Thrones collection. I don't drink too much of the stuff off the shelf, but I do like the blue. All right, much W. Shout out to Nostalgic Nick. Appreciate you coming on through. But we just finished talking about that Chicago game. Let's talk about the Orlando loss. All right. This one to me stung a little bit, especially being that I lived in Florida and live in Florida for so long. Yeah. Patisserie. Yeah. I knew I was saying it wrong, Dorkosaurus, but yeah, patisserie. What did I say? Patisserie? Yeah, patisserie. Yeah, I did. I actually, I screwed it up. straight up, I pulled up freaking Google to learn how to say patisserie like right before I did the show and completely botched it anyway. So appreciate you, bro, for being fluent in French and helping me out. But that Orlando loss, that one stung a little bit for me. Okay. Yes, we didn't have Towns, okay, and McBride, but still the amount of players that were missing still tipped in our favor. Like the fact that they didn't have Suggs, they didn't have Boncaro, they didn't have Mo or Franz, and we still took a 103-94 loss. And the painful thing is having to hear our guys like Clyde talking about how Cole Anthony has struggled all season and has not found his footing and doesn't know where he fits in the Orlando Magic lineup anymore. And he's getting, time because Suggs is gone. And yet Cole Anthony was their leading scorer against us. Like
he didn't even play the last time, I think, right? Did he play the last time when they played?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So that game was a little bit rough. And the thing is like, yes, we were tired, but sheesh, I think they were on a back-to-back that game from what I remember. They were the ones on a back-to-back, and they're missing 4 of their starters, or 3 of their starters and their 6th man in Mo. Like, that's huge, like we can't really say that we're tired and that's why we lost that game, because they were the ones on the back-to-back and they're the ones that were missing most of their, starting lineup. So what was your thoughts on that game?
Well, I saw it coming. Because it was like a setup that OKC game to set it off there. I was hoping that we could be competitive and whatever, but I just knew that Bulls game back to back with the OKC that was going to start like something here, man. So, but this Orlando game, it pissed me off, like just for what you said. They're missing so many key players. Rotational players out of their thing. They still beat us. They didn't just beat us. They whipped us. For like a majority of this game here. So I mean, like, you want to talk about energy or anything like that. It's just that these guys were as a team, the coach, like you just utilize your players. So then when it's time for guys to play minutes, it's not like all of a sudden like, okay, now I'm plunged into the situation where I have to contribute. So you got guys like Anthony Black, you got Jonathan Isaacs that's been getting Jet Howard. Jet Howard only played 16 minutes. Trevelyan only played 5 or whatever. Trevelyan, the last game he played against us, he played minutes and stuff. So their coaches utilizing their players, or whatever. So when it came down to it, they were able to just attack with energy. They would attack with energy. That they understand the defensive schemes. They knew where the shots were coming from. So things are just a little bit more fluid than what's happening on our end, man. And I just think I thought that I was kind of like pissed because I like you said I do watch-alongs for these games. This game I turned it off. At a certain point, I didn't even get to the end of the game. I just turned it off and started talking about something else. Sometimes I do that. I'll start talking about like comic books, in the middle of the game if the game is going that way. But this is one of those games, man. So it's just frustrating, man.
And it's hard because it's like Orlando's impressive. Like I don't care what anyone says. You have that many guys out as long as they've been out, and you're still 5th or 4th in the East. Like they're still above Milwaukee. They're above the Pacers, and they're doing all this with their reserves. And this is one reason that I look at them and I go, yes, because even when their guys were there, a lot of these guys that are now playing were getting playing time. Right. They weren't getting extreme minutes, but they were still getting playing time when their starters were available. So now that the opportunity where injuries have happened, it's not like you're throwing in scrubs that are hoping to learn how to play your system. They're guys that have gotten enough minutes before the injuries to be able to play and able to keep you afloat until your guys come back. That's always the concern with a smaller rotation of guys that are allowed to play, is that if something was to happen with our guys, how many games have to happen with these substitutes to finally be able to say, oh, they get it, and it's going to start working. So shout out to Orlando for playing hard. Shout out to those guys coming back. I believe, I did read something that says Boncaro is actually going to be making his return this week. Either their next game or 2 games from now. So shout out to them because they're gritty. Like I've said this before. I saw someone say, that they want to see Orlando in the first round.
I don't.
I don't. Me
Yeah.
personally, the only 2 teams, honestly, that I don't want to see in the first round are the Hawks and the Magic, because
wow.
the Magic are gritty and they fight a lot the way that we fight, like to like hard punches, and they're a gritty team. They take bumps and bruises like we do, but they're also younger than we are. So I feel like if it was to go 7 games, I feel like, our guys might be a little bit more beat up than they would, in a very grueling, fight, punch for punch kind of series.
To add to that, like they play all their guys. They play basically all 12 of their guys. Like I said, throughout the years and stuff. But if you look at the Knicks, then with the I know the Knicks traded a lot of assets to get the players that we have in the starting lineup. But we basically pissed away the season for Landry Shamet. Like we could have easily got somebody to play, to play for us during the time when Shamet was out, but we chose not to do anything. You know what I'm saying? I just think that's a huge mistake by the Knicks by not because that was in preseason. We could have gotten anybody. TJ Warren, he's playing in Westchester. It could have been anybody. Just somebody in there just to be on the roster that we can utilize from time to time until the Shamet comes back. So now when Shamet comes back, like in that Orlando game you're talking about, he played 21 minutes. He had 1 rebound and 1 assist, no points. But you can't get mad at Shamet because if you look at his stats for his career, he can't rebound and he doesn't really pass like that. He doesn't get the assists or rebounds like that. Only thing that he does contribute is points. You know what I'm saying? So you're asking, like, when these guys come in, you're putting them in a position where they have to do things that they don't normally do, and it's not fair. And I think, like I said, in preseason he got hurt, so he hasn't played until now. So there was plenty of time to get players here to at least contribute. If it's not the guys that's on the roster, if you don't trust rookies and this, that, and the other, there were other options available. We could have picked up players for minimums or whatever. We could have waived guys, whatever. It was the beginning of the season. We could have done something to bolster the roster to give this team enough people to call for when the going gets tough. And now here we are, down, and now we're like scared, like, oh my God, is Carl Anthony gonna play? Is OG hurt now? Is this that? Like, we're walking on eggshells now because we have no one to pull from.
Yeah, and so someone said it here. Said we are a better team. I think it was might have been Dorcosaurus. He said we're a better team than the Hawks, but they have our number. We won't beat them in a 7-game series, especially with Tibbs minutes. And I agree with that. I think that'll be a very hard matchup for us. Same with Orlando. Here's the thing about Landry. I like Landry. I think he's a good player. I think he adds to our bench. However, like someone said Shamet is not a needle mover, and that's the problem. We should not be expecting Shamet to be a needle mover. Like, he's never been a needle mover wherever he's been. He's been a good player that can get you some points off the bench and that will play hard on both ends of the court. That is someone we need alongside a needle mover. Like, the guys we have are good bench players. Precious Achiuwa, a good bench player. Campaign, a good bench player. But we don't have a needle mover off the bench. Like, we just don't. McBride is good, and when he's there, like, is very helpful. But even him, I would not say he's a needle mover. Like, there's levels to call someone a needle mover. And so, like, when you look at a team like OKC, and they have a guy like Alex Caruso coming off the bench, that's a needle mover. A guy that can play lockdown defense, can also, contribute offensively, who, works well and has a smart veteran basketball mind. That's a needle mover with all the actual, like, star power that they have in their starting lineup. That makes your, depth scary, because not only do you have good guys that can come off the bench, but you have needle movers that can come off the bench as well. And so
Well, you mentioned him though, like he's 6'5", but he's basically a point guard, combo guard, point guard, shooting guard. Shamit is the same height as him. But Shamit is a wing for us. You know what I'm saying? But Shamit has never really played wing. He's really like he's basically the same kind of player. He's a combo guard for the most part.
Yeah.
Just for the simple fact that he can't rebound. So that's an issue. Like if what's the guy's name you just mentioned? Like if he was on our team, are we gonna have him play small forward? That would negate everything that he brings to the table.
Yeah.
And it puts the team behind the eight ball also, man. It's annoying. That's really annoying.
Yeah.
Frustrating.
Yeah. And so I'm hoping that, we see something happen where someone can step up, because I don't think we're going to do anything before the deadline. That's for sure. I really don't.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's talk about this last game. All right. So we finally, after that grueling road trip, we come back home and we get a victory. All right. We beat the Raptors, pretty bottom of the barrel team, pretty low on the pecking order of the NBA right now. But RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly for his first time playing us since the trade. So we go up against them, the 14th place team in the NBA, and we get a 112-98 victory. And as it was mentioned numerous times, they are top 5th in worst defense in the NBA. They said it many times on that broadcast yesterday. So we finally got the victory. Shout outs Quickly coming back from the injury, looking confident, played well. Our guys, were able to obviously stop them. Shout out to OG. Like, to me, OG was the highlight of yesterday's game, performing against his old team, numerous blocks. He had that block against RJ. RJ came in confidently after scoring quite a few in the paint, and them talking about how he's one of the best in the paint scorers, and OG straight swatted his, thing. Every time he scored a three, he looked at his old bench. So that was a really good game for OG Anunoby. What were your takeaways from that one?
Well, that's another one of these games where, like, when I'm doing a watch along and the game was so, like, it was a sloppy game, man. Like Toronto, yeah. They have a coach from Europe over there. They have a lot of injuries too, man. So, they have a lot of issues there. Their coach has Scotty Barnes running offense and RJ running offense. And then you got the guards standing in the corners, waiting to get passes from their power forward and small forward. So, they have a weird thing going on over there. So they don't really play well. They're not a good basketball team. So the game was boring. So, like, I do watch alongs for the game. So I was talking about working out. I was talking about ex-girlfriends. I was talking about everything but the game, because the game was so trash, man. So that was the issue there. But at a certain point in the fourth quarter, I think the start of the fourth quarter, I think both teams started to actually play a little bit better. But the little bit better for Toronto was only like a flash in the pan. Once it came down to it, once the Knicks just started locking in playing basketball again, then our superiority as far as a team, what we do day in and day out, just stuck out there, and Toronto just had no answer for that. You know what I'm saying? We're just a better team than them. They might have a lot of talent on their roster, but just team wise, they have nothing going for them. So we just came away with it just off the rip just because of that.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is giving them a little bit of leeway, because they did make mention of, with Emmanuel Quickly being gone, Scotty Barnes was kind of filling that spot of needing to run the offense. Him and RJ, because Mr. Grady Dick doesn't have, a lot of experience yet in doing that. And IQ was gone. And yesterday was IQ's first game back. So maybe you'll see, that pendulum kind of switch a little bit, swing over the other way and give it back to Emmanuel Quickly to run it once he's a little more comfortable, because you did see he was kind of on some minute restrictions where they would pull him, every few minutes just to make sure that, they ease him into being back. So we'll see what happens there. The only thing that, like, for me in that game, because yes, it was a boring game. It wasn't really fun to watch. Um, because it was one of those that it was like, I want to watch it long enough to have something to talk about on tomorrow's show,
Right.
but there's other things that I would rather be doing right now. But one thing that did concern me was seeing Towns continue to struggle in the pain that he's facing with his knee. Um, that to me is scary. That to me is
It
scary
was
to
also the
see.
first play, right? The first play of the
The
game. I
first
think he
dunk
tweaked
that he
it.
did, the
Yeah.
first dunk that he did, he came down and immediately was gritting his teeth, running back, and numerous times he was doing that. Um, that concerns me. That concerns me. A knee that's bothering you and 36 minutes on the floor, like that's not me being minutes police. That's me going, hey, this guy's playing 34 minutes and he's squinting a lot of it, like he's gritting his teeth, he's holding his knee, he's hunched over, he's not coming back on defense because he's holding his knee on the other end, like that's just me seeing what the guy is showing me, what the player on my big screen is showing me. And so those kind of things do concern me. And if you're in the chat, like, am I overreacting? Like, is it really no big deal? Or is moments like that concerning? Seeing, your player like dealing with something like that, and just feeling for him, and also being like, dang, what are we doing here? So shout out to my guy Kareem Grant. Appreciate you so much for showing up. Let me know in the chat, like, it is the Karl Anthony Towns being in pain, throughout last night's game, something that worries you, something that bothers you, or do I just need to suck it up? What's your thoughts, Hero?
Well, Josh Hart, I think, cracked his vagina also in that game too. Remember, he got hit in the abdomen or something. He was holding it himself throughout like most of the game also. So little things like that, we can't afford to have guys out. The other day, OG had did something to his. Remember, I think he got his feet swiped underneath him, and he like hurt himself in one of the games. So like every time something like that happens, man, like if OG gets hurt, Josh, Karl Anthony Towns, if everybody gets hurt, we're not Orlando. Orlando still can able to function. He still can able, to win games and function as a team. But if we lose like 4 rotational players, major rotational players, we're going to be in big trouble, man. So, there's a lot of things going on with this roster, man.
Yeah. All right. So Dorkasaurus says patellar tendonitis is an overuse injury, plain and simple. Phil, you're cooling. We be firing in the chat. There are strays all the time. So all right, let me know your guys' thoughts. Continue going in the chat. If you guys can, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Do us a favor. This continues to grow what we're doing here, and it means a lot to us to put in our time and effort and know that you guys appreciate and support what we're doing. So if you can, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It always helps us out. Also, if you can, in that top right, you'll see that little buy me a coffee. You'll see a little yellow coffee up there. We try not to mention it much, but super chats keep a lot of YouTubers going. We don't really ask for many super chats, but we will say if you can buy us a coffee, that allows the money to kind of go straight into our pockets with a little bit taken out instead of YouTube that likes to take as much as it can. So if you can, that's helpful to us. It allows us to continue to do what we do. Makes it a little easier taking away hours from our family to talk Knicks. So if you guys can, that'll allow me to at least be like, hey, babe, I bought you a Starbucks this week thanks to the chat community, as opposed to, not being able to do that. So, yep, if you can, buy us a coffee. Just scan that little icon with your phone. I know you all got them, so just take them out right now. Scan it. $1, $3, $4. It's all good. Whatever works. There's over 75 of you right now. There was more before, so $1 each. There we go. All of our wives get coffee. It's beautiful. Maybe just one Starbucks at that amount, but we'll see. All right. So moving on. Let's talk about some news. Or to me, what's not news and is kind of comical. So I saw, and one thing that's crazy is like one thing that gets a little redundant for me is the NBA reporter will say something, and there's so much Knicks content that like it gets reported from like every single person, but a lot of times it's just reading the exact same thing that you already read on your screen. Like NBA insider says this, and I'm like, I know, I read the article too. What
Yeah.
else? Like, are you gonna tell me something about it? Like something new, or are we just like reading someone's blog post? So one thing came out where it was talking about how teams are seeing a Mitchell Robinson trade as a tank move, and that his value around the league is pretty much non-existent for most teams because of his injury history. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? This is
Like
what you call news? That's
who's
like
saying that? That sounds like an opinion, somebody's opinion.
not even that it's an opinion. It's just like, of course, like that's like me going out in a snowstorm, like, or in the, you know, prayers to everybody in LA, but going out to the fires and being like, things are going to burn. Well, yeah, thanks for telling me what I can already see, what I already freaking know. You know, like that's what telling me this news about Mitchell Robinson is. It's like, what team is looking and going, Mitchell Robinson, you know, we should probably trade a young, talented prospect that we have right now because he might be able to play 20 something games for us next year. Like, who's doing that? Like, no one, you know? So to me, that's just crazy that that's called reporting these days. Like, that a player that has been completely injured for most of his time as a Knick has low value. We understand that. Like, we understand he's got low value. And anyone who doesn't think he's got low value, that's why reporters like that exist. Because there's
Exactly.
guys and ladies like you. You know, like, I don't understand how something like that has value. You know, it's crazy.
But like you mentioned, that it does have value because there's people out there that they don't have an opinion until they read it first. What like we've been saying the same thing about the minutes. We've been talking about it all season. But then like Ian Bagley says it, and now all of a sudden you start seeing people, yeah, the minutes, and then out of nowhere we got this report about history or whatever, and then like the wording is like so weird. Who talks like that, man? So it's frustrating. That's the reason why that we do the things that we do. That's the reason why I do it. I know that because that there has to be like somebody has to be the voice of reason. Somebody has to give a real take. I want to hear real stuff. Because a lot of things that these guys put out there is literally just BS stuff just to get the just to get their own narratives. Because these guys work for publications. You talk about give us a coffee. Those guys have guys in their ears. During the morning briefings and stuff like that. This is what they're trying to get through to get ratings up and this, that, and the other. Oh, yeah, throw this out there, at this time because the Knicks are struggling. The Knicks fans are going crazy. Let's throw this out there to make them even more crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that, just irks me. But that's why it's so necessary to have us doing what we do because, it brings us back to, the real conversations and stuff,
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing is like, at the end of the day, you can go back to our podcasts from last year, like where we're saying these things. And now it's like it gets, 3,000 retweets and, 4,000 quote tweets. And I'm just like, I don't understand it. Like it makes no sense to me. And so, I see Nick Yak right here. He says, we need to beat Cleveland and trading Mitch is ridiculous. The guy next to you wants to trade Mitch. We are not beating Cleveland without Mitch. Here's the thing. I don't want to trade Mitch because I don't think we're going to get anything of value, at the end of the day. Like at the end of the day, we don't get anything. If he comes back and is available for the playoffs, that's more value than what we could get from trading him away, like, because you're not going to get a piece that's really going to help us perform in the playoffs. Like for just Mitch, you got to add something to it,
Well,
And so,
Nick Shack always got something to say, because I got him blocked on my channel, so he always wants to say stuff or whatever. But I mean, like we used to argue about RJ all the time, RJ and whoever else we used to argue about, Randall and this, that, and the other. They're not on the team anymore, and look where we are. You know what I'm saying? So there's a method to things. We can make a move and still get somebody in here that can help us. So you don't just trade Mitchell Robinson just because I don't like his beard or something, or because he has too much underarm hair, which he does. He has too much underarm hair. You know what I'm saying? But that's not the reason why to trade the guy. You trade the guy because like he's always injured and stuff like that. You want to try to get something for him in order to to whatever. I think we already have replacements for him. We have Jericho, we have Hakporty, that we got these guys that we can take a look at, on the roster. So, we can get somebody in here to do stuff. But in the flip side, we kind of need a wing scoring and stuff. So we should explore, but we're just not going to trade a guy just to trade a guy. That's just not how it works.
and here's the thing: if Mitch comes back healthy, I think that he can be a difference maker. Like you got to think, especially let's say we get past the Eastern Conference Finals and we make it to the finals, and we play a team like OKC. It's going to be important to have center depth because look at what they did to us with iHeart. iHeart in the roster is 19-1. Okay, so since Chet's gone out and iHeart has started, they're 19-1. So let's say Chet comes back and Chet plays the 4. Now they're even more dangerous with Chet at the 4 and iHeart at the 5. Or if they decide to put iHeart or Chet on the bench to come in with the second unit, now you have 2 star-studded centers that you have to play in a 7-game series. You need that. And as much as I like Precious ain't doing it, against either one of those centers. Sims ain't doing it against either of those 2 centers. Like, it's just not happening.
But the kid that's hurt, he will actually be starting as their power forward. Say next to iHeart. So just even with our starters, OG and Cat with Michaela as the starters, that's not going to cut it either. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Mitch Robinson definitely will help because then we can at least match the toughness there. So I get it.
And so there's definite value there,
Yes.
Especially because at the end of the day, any of the guys that I thought were worth getting to try and make us a little more bolstered up for the playoffs, such as Dorian Finney-Smith.
Don't even talk about that, man.
That's no longer even a possibility.
Yeah.
So when you look across the board, you have to go, what is the value? My whole thing about Mitch is we lost the chance to get something of value by not trading him earlier. Not saying trading him earlier was the desire of my heart or anything stupid like that. Like what I'm saying is that before he was this unavailable for us is when he had the most value. Like at the end of the day, like that's when he had the most value. Now, not so much. And yes, I agree completely, Nostalgic Nick. Nick Richards could replace Mitch for less money. However, why would they trade him? Why would they trade a young center that is healthy on a young core team who may gain more value over time for a guy that's been injured most of his career? Like the value's not there. Like we would win in that trade lights out. But there's no reason to do that. For a team to do something like that, you would need to trade and we'll throw in a late first round pick or this young player that you're eyeing. But no one's eyeing our young players because they haven't seen them play enough minutes. And we don't have any of those picks to trade. So before I have you go, Iru, I'm going to bring up our guy. Apollo has made it from work, stealing him from us. What up, Mr. Guard Up Knicks himself?
What's up, Apollo?
What's going on, guys? How y'all doing? Sorry about the timing, man. I had a long day.
Grown man stuff, man. We all grown people here. Nature. You have to take care of business. So
facts. That's true, man. So what's going on? What are we talking about?
We're talking about Mitchell Robinson right now. So Iru was about to share some thoughts, and then I'll ask you some questions.
All right.
When Nick Richards, most of the reports are talking about, oh, Knicks have second rounders. We could trade second rounders for Charlotte for the like. But the thing is, why would they do that? Like you said, you're talking about a first rounder and adding Mitch to that. That makes more sense. But just trading 2 second rounders for Nick Richards, why for somebody that has that much value, why would they settle for 2 second round picks? So you have to. It doesn't make, like, a lot of the reports don't make any sense. That, like I'm saying, like, people will mention that they'll see it, like somebody, a reporter would report it. Oh, the Knicks are looking at this guy. This guy's available. This guy's available. Now all of a sudden, now everybody has all of these opinions and stuff of how to get whatever. But there's like really no thought process to it until that same person comes up with the with the deal, and then people start regurgitating that deal over and over and over and over again. That's frustrating.
Yeah, and so the one thing Kareem Grant said, which is what I've been saying, is he talked about, it would be good to have Mitch back. He can contribute when he's healthy, keyword healthy, but we still need a backup to Mitch. And that is the problem. Like, when you have to bolster your bench around needing a backup for your backup center, like, that sucks to go, all right, we can keep him, but we also need to figure out who we're going to also keep when he's not available. Like, he's that unavailable that you need a designated person on the roster to play those games because he may not play. That's a big thing to, like, buy into, to buy into something that, may or may not matter. When he's healthy, he is incredible. Like, at the defensive and rebounding end. Like, if you tell me that Mitchell Robinson is guaranteed to play a 50-game season, keep him. Like, I'm all about it. Like, okay, he's going to miss 32 games. Cool. But when you tell me that he may play 32 games, that's an issue. That's where my problem comes in. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
I don't know, man. It's when it comes to Mitch, it's really like one of those conversations where I guess it just depends on where we are. When like, I guess we got to see what he actually brings to the team. What this version of the team, we know what Mitch does. We know who Mitch is. But I don't know, man. I think there may be something to it. We've been hearing Mitch has been on the in trade talks for how long now? You know what I mean? He's still here. He's the longest tenured Knick. So you know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, if personally, I don't want to say get rid of Mitch, but I do know that there are things that this team can improve on. So if we can get those things by way of Mitch and other pieces, if possible, yeah, but I don't see a big trade. I don't see a trade involving Mitch and whatever else we can give him at this point, or give anybody at this point, that's going to net us somebody that can really bolster our bench. And just come out and have like a, like you guys were talking about earlier, I was watching while I was on my way home. We don't really have guys off the bench where, the guys get off the bench and like, damn, we got to worry about that guy now. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have that. And I don't think a trade involving Mitch would net us that kind of guy. So if that's the case, what you're trading Mitch for would probably be of lesser value or equal to lesser value. So what's the point? You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I think we backed ourselves into a corner that we can't really get ourselves out of until summertime. Personally, That's how I feel.
Shout out to my guy Ron from Still Knicks Fans. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, stop what you're doing right now, open up another tab, like and subscribe. That is seriously family to us. One of the most supportive content creators out there. And like Nostalgic Nick said, I think they're keeping them. They are keeping them. Like it's come out on, and I guess people will listen to it now because the national media has said what we've been saying for the past year, that teams aren't interested based off of like availability. And his actual value was considered, the exact words were, Robinson, trading for Robinson would be a tank move. Like a team that's trying to tank and taking on a pointless contract to then figure out what to do with it or to let it end. Once again,
what are those tank moves though? They say tank moves, that's like that's like a very specific thing to say. You know what I'm saying? So what would be like a deal though if he was to go that route?
So if you're a team that is bottom of the barrel and you're realizing you have to blow it up and you want to get out of some contracts that may be a little bit longer than, maybe Mitch's, or you feel like this player, just doesn't bring any value, maybe Mitch will. You look at teams like Washington that are at the bottom of the barrel. The Pelicans confused as crap, not knowing, what they're going to do. Players trying to leave, players wanting out, like stuff like that. But even then, and here's the thing. No one here, well, at least me, I'll speak for myself. I am not saying that I have an issue with Mitchell Robinson's game. I don't. Like, if Mitchell Robinson was playing, I think that our season would look a little bit different right now. I really do. I feel like our bench would have a lot more second chance opportunities to score, which would help our, scoring off the bench. I feel like our defense would be a lot better in the paint off the bench. And I feel like we would have more wins in the win column. My problem with Mitch is never Mitch's game himself. It's that he has not been available for us. Like, it's January 9th right now, and we're still unsure when he's going to be on full-on practice. Like, of course, you want the guy to be there and playing. Like, at the end of the day, if I'm running a business, I want to know that I'm paying a guy who's showing up to work. Like, at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want a guy that's clocking in, not, not someone that shows up and then, we're not going to see him for a few weeks. Where's he at? Is he coming in today? Maybe not. Maybe we'll find out. Like that's not what I would want as a boss or as someone that's invested in a company. Like if I'm an investor, I want to know that the people that are working for the organization that I'm putting my money into, that they're showing up. That they're actually able to contribute to the goal of what that business is. That's the only thing I have with Mitch. Otherwise, I like Mitch. Otherwise, I'm like, yo, Mitch would do great in these areas. But he's got to be on the court to be able to do that. Like, he just has to be.
I agree.
Yeah.
So Ron had a great point.
That, man. If we can get some of these guys, like you mentioned, a couple players, put them together to get somebody that we can use, like on these tank teams. I think that we should. It's something that should be explored. I'm quite sure the Knicks are probably looking at that behind the scenes. But anyway, go ahead.
Ron said, I still think the Knicks are in a situation where they are truly financially cash-strapped. We have players that can help this team right now in our G League that we can't afford to put on our roster. Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Matt Ryan, for Christ's sake. Matt Ryan, we jumped through hoops to get Matt Ryan on this roster. Doesn't make no sense. They put us through, we're on like at the aprons now. Everybody is the expert about saying first, second apron, so now we can't make moves because of Matt Ryan and Shamit and stuff like that. That's annoying.
Yeah. That is frustrating. Shout out to Umberto. He said, please allow Tibbs to properly gel the team while winning is hard, and we're doing it. Here's the thing is in the start of the season, I kept on saying, gel, give us time to gel, give us time to gel, give us time to gel. I think we've given time, and when it gels, it looks real good, and you see us compete, and you see games like the OKC game where you're like, man, that was a good effort. And then there's times where you go up against the Orlando Magic, who are missing 3 starters and their 6th man, and yet they still beat us. Like, that makes you go, hey, what happened to that gel, that I saw a few days ago? Where'd that go? So it's there's grace, but there's also accountability. Like, you can't have one without the other. You can't just be grace nonstop. Like, oh, just give it time. Well, time eventually runs out. So yes, there's good things that we're seeing, but there are nights where you're left going, okay, something's gotta change here a little bit, and if you're gonna crucify me for saying something's gotta change and they have to do better, then you better crucify the whole friggin' team, because those words have come out of their whole mouths. You know, that's come out of Josh Hart's mouth that they have to do better. It's come out of Jalen Brunson's mouth that they got to figure it out and do better. So if I can't say it, then you better start, you know, crucifying your team because they see it the same way that I do, that there's no excuse that they have to do better.
Are you gonna mention any of those people? You know, because the main one is Anthony MSG. He's been saying it a lot, like kind of like gatekeeping, like, oh, you're not allowed to say this about the team. Oh, we haven't won in 20 years. Now we're winning, and you guys are complaining. That is annoying because, you know, the Knicks are winning, but we still could critique them because we still believe in them. We can believe in the team and still be like, okay, we have things that we need to improve in. Why can't we comment on those type of things?
So here's the thing with anything, you know, like I'm in the, you know, influencer in the whiskey community. Our family travels, you know, we do content creation for traveling family communities. Just like the Knicks community, people are going to see things through different views. You know, some are going to be the extra critical, you know, that no matter what they do, like, oh, I hate this player. Da, da, da. It's like, wait, they just had 4 triple doubles. How are you hating on Josh Hart? After the last 4 games, he's the only reason we stood a chance, you know, like, but they're still going to do what they do because they're on that extreme end over here. Some people in the fandom are going to wear rose-colored glasses that no matter what, things look bright and beautiful and whatever. Then you got people that all wrestle in the middle. I'm not going to tell anyone how to feel or how to fan. You know, if someone wants to have those rose-colored glasses, that's cool. You know, like, that's how you face, you know, like a disappointing loss. Cool. You know, like, oh, you want the team to burn because of that loss? That's a little extreme. I think you need help, but I can't tell you how to fan either. Like, I can pray for you and suggest a counselor, but I can't tell you how to fan. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to do a little bit of both. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to look at the things that I've seen grow in my players and my coach. And I'm also going to critique the things that I still see, because that to me is how I want to fan. I don't want to be extreme on either end of support or lack of support. I want to call things how I see it, but I'm also not going to turn a blind eye and act like nothing's wrong, you know, because like at some point I just can't do that. But people are going to do what they want to do, and I'm going to let them do it. You know, it is what it is. For me, I love this team. But I love this team enough to want to see them do better at certain things. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, that to me is, if you're going to invest in something, like you have to be willing to call it as it is. And whether it's my family, whether it's my church community, whether it's my, you know, friendships, whatever, I don't want them to just see me as I am and never point out where I'm slacking. You know, like, what kind of a friend does that? You know, like, what kind of a friend does that? What kind of a business partner does that? You know, sees you drop slacking on the job and the business is failing because of you, and isn't willing to be like, yo, hey, we're doing this together. Like, you got to do this a little different. Me, I always want to be called to higher, and I want to, you know, give credit and praise to the people in my life that are doing things well, but also call them to higher levels, the same way that they call me to higher levels. I'm going to do the same thing with my sports teams. Otherwise, I'm not going to waste all my time watching every single game, you know, podcasting once a week if I can't really care to want to be better. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, these people are lucky that there wasn't Twitter and all kinds of stuff back in the 90s, man, because people were a lot more ruthless back then if they had as much access and freedom of speech online as we do now. Like, things are fairly, like, I guess they call it soft now. You can't really say much online because, you know, you hurt somebody's feelings no matter how you go. But if this was the 90s and like the early 2000s, it would have been a shit show. I'm sorry. So I mean, all we're doing is talking about what we're seeing. I don't think it's hurting anybody. You know what I'm saying? I do see that it bothers Josh, but I mean, I don't know what he expects at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's annoying. What do you guys think about Josh saying something? Because Josh is telling the fans how to fan too. Because my thing is like, wait a second. Like, we're fans. In order for you guys to get the millions of dollars that you get, us fans have to care. You know what I'm saying? We have to care. If Knicks fans didn't care, like other fans around the league, you see all our Knicks fans popping up to the arenas. Nobody's going to the arenas like we are. You know what I'm saying? So don't tell us what to do, man. Don't tell us what to do on our end. That annoys the hell out of me. Like now we got, like I said, I mentioned Anthony MSG by name. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's talking about crashing out in the like a lot of fans be crashing out. State, people don't want to say people's names. State is like the type of fan like that where he just crashing out for engagement, that type of thing. So people do things for a reason. You know what I'm saying? But we're just talking about, the Knicks probably need to use their bench a little bit more. Oh, how dare you say anything about that? Like, oh my God, I know you're not talking about the Knicks. Like, what are you talking about, man? That drives me crazy, dude.
And I think that's the hard thing. Like Nostalgic Nick said, we are invested fans. The problem isn't this kind of conversation, okay? It's what's that little a little yeast destroys the whole loaf or whatever. What's that saying? You know that one?
Yeah, there's very different variations of it.
Yeah. Let's see what.
A couple bad things spoil the pot, whatever, type of
thing. Yeah. So the it's actually from the Bible verse Galatians, the one I'm talking about. It's a little leaven leavens the whole lump. And so what that is saying is like a little lump of untruth, a little false teaching or whatever makes everything like impure and can affect and transform the whole thing. It's the same way with fandom. Like the extremes are what will always get the attention. And so when you have guys like Josh Hart, who is putting his blood, sweat, and tears into every single freaking night, throwing his body around, like this guy, there could be knives on the court, but if there's a rebound, he's going to risk, one of those knives going through his torso so he can grab the rebound or dodge for the loose ball. So you got a guy that's pretty much giving everything he has to New York City, to New York Knicks fans. And then he wakes up to videos like, yo, da-da-da-da, this bastard, this, that, and whatever. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't care about your wife. Tell your wife to, go back inside. You guys shouldn't be on a date right now. You should keep your wife in there because you need to be in the gym. Like, of course, that's the bull crap that gets retweeted by a whole bunch of ignorant fans. And he sees those things and he's going to be like, yo, shut up. Like just watch the game. Why? Because they're not caring about the game. They're not watching the game. They're nitpicking the person and making it seem as if like what they're doing is not enough. What we're doing is critiquing things in the game or the things how the game was played and what could have been better. Mm-hmm. We're not attacking them as people. We're not trying to go after their personal lives or say this, that, or whatever. You need to give more to the Knicks, to a guy who has given more to the Knicks. So of course that's going to be a level of frustration. Like you have guys like Russell Westbrook who had reached their end, of stupid hecklers on the sideline, and Russell Westbrook being like, meet me outside. You had guys like Carmelo Anthony, against another player, like feeling like Kevin Garnett called him out on something, that he doesn't even really know what Kevin Garnett said, but he wanted to fight Kevin Garnett in the parking lot, because they're giving their all, and then sensical people have comments that their lips should be locked. Like those are kind of people that ruin it, for the rest of us that are just being critical about the game of basketball. So I have no problem with that at all with him addressing because of the level of it. Like he has shown from ticket giving to fans to giving tickets to single moms to doing this, to doing that he is for this city, that he is for this team. There is no player in the league that gives the amount of effort every single game that guy gives. So for anyone to have things to critique about him and his effort, that's not anything to do with basketball. Like if he shoots like 5, threes in the last minute of the game and all of them are air balls, and I call that out, Josh Hart's not going to retweet me and be like, how dare you question me shooting airball 3-pointers, for the last minute of the game. He'd be like, yeah, that was, I don't know what I was thinking. Those were stupid shots. But if I say something about his effort, well, that's just stupid. That's just stupid.
But when you make like statements like that, you're just saying it in general. So you put us all in there. So now it annoys me. But if you're talking about something specific, then be specific. My thing is like go straight to it. That's why we always mention Twitter, right? But we really don't interact in Twitter that much. Like in the big fights that they be having on there, especially Twitter Spaces. I can't go on Twitter Spaces because I invite people to the hot dog stand. I don't. I just it's just like a different energy. You know what I'm saying? I can't argue with somebody about some of the things that they say because I'm going straight to the hot dog stand, straight to Nathan's. You know what I'm saying? That's right there, because it's like either we're gonna talk basketball or we're gonna go straight, to get some condiments for the hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? So that's what annoys me. So I mean, like if you're gonna be talking about something specific, then be specific and say what you're talking about. Stop beating around the bush. That annoys me too. You have to.
I think it's a little harder though.
Go right to it, bro.
I think it's a little harder. Like for us, we have no stakes in the game. Like we have no contract with the Knicks. We have no PR we have to go through. We can call out a name and it affects us nothing. Like right. There's nothing. I could be like, yo, this dude is freaking nuts, which is why when I was doing that, like, and we got to go back to it, like stupidest tweets of the week, like I can do that. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to at me on Twitter. Like, whoop, I'm so scared. Right. I'm being added. It doesn't really do anything. They don't watch the show. They probably didn't watch it before anyway. So for us, it doesn't matter. Josh can't be like these people right here, like he can't do that. He
shouldn't say anything then, if that's the case, he shouldn't say anything.
That's extreme to me because it's his career on the line. Like he can blanket state and we all know who he's talking about. Like that's enough because he posts that tweet and we all know. So we're all the ones that retweet tagging that account. Josh can't do that. He's got his career, he's got his money, he's got all that on the line. But he knows that if he posts that and puts a line of what that tweet was, we all know it was that person, and we could all call that person out and be like, yo, haha, see, even the players realize that you're a clown.
Well, I know. Apollo has something to say, but there was a couple games before where a reporter was talking to him about something, and then Josh just started talking about something else specific, and then the reporter was like, "Well, who are you talking about? I didn't ask you that." You know what I'm saying? So he's in the mix. He reads the tweets, man. You know what I'm saying? So
but there's got to be a professionalism to it. He can only deal with so much without getting frustrated, but he can't say anything, like JT Riddick just said, he's not going to people, he calls someone out, their page gets flooded, now he gets sued,
listen, I'm not talking about calling a specific person out, but if he's talking about a group of people on Twitter, hey, I read something on Twitter, this is what they're saying on Twitter. Like, okay, then you didn't say that.
But we all know it's Twitter.
Blanket statements on all the fans.
We know it's Twitter. Like, where do fans talk with the NBA? Twitter.
I get it.
It's one of those you don't need to say it kind of situations. But
without Twitter, forget Twitter. Twitter wasn't there, like I said, in the 90s and the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? So, players didn't talk about us. They just talked about the game. But now, they're doing it. So,
but we also didn't have a massive platform where we felt like we could let our Twitter fingers be brave and say a whole bunch of things that we would never say in front of a player face to face, So like you didn't have accounts like that felt like they were bulletproof because they have so many characters that Twitter allows them to say whatever they want and they can feel like they're Superman on the internet. So it's just a different era, unfortunately. And to be honest, it robs a lot of the goodness of the game when people spend so much time with the drama on that. But let's move past that. Let's talk about this whole Tibbs minute situation. All right. I want to get everybody's opinion, including those in the chat. Tibbs supporters, Tibbs haters, people like me that in the middle, give him his flowers, but also throw coal at him when he needs it. It came out that 3 of our players are in the top 5 for minutes played in the NBA right now. 3 out of the top 5. So Mikal Bridges at number 1, Josh Hart sits in 2nd, and OG Anunoby sits in 3rd. So the top 3 most played players in the NBA are in our starting lineup. And then Seventh, so in the top 10, we have 4. So seventh is Karl Anthony Towns. And then in the top 20, we have our whole starting lineup. So in the whole NBA, 5 of 20 for most played minutes are our 5 starting lineup guys. Um, you can't make that up. You can't make it up that Tibbs plays his guys a lot of minutes. Obviously, in that same article, it was on the New York Post. Towns was quoted saying, "I feel like y'all give him flack all the time." Um, he faced similar criticism in Minnesota. No matter where he's at, but he keeps getting a job, and it means that everyone keeps respecting and knowing what he can do for a team. And he's done it in Chicago. He did it with Boston. He did it with us in Mini, and he's doing it here. So say what you want about Tibbs, but he gets the job done. And then Mikal Bridges also had something to say. iHeart had something to say defending him. What are your guys' thoughts on the amount of minutes? Like, a lot of times people say that Knicks fans are minute police. But 5 out of 20 is kind of a big deal. Like, how many teams are there? How many starting lineups are there? 5 guys in every starting lineup. That's a lot of guys just in starting lineups alone. And 5 of our 20 are in the top. 5 of our guys are in the top 20. What are your thoughts, Apollo?
It's a lot of damn minutes. Like I don't know how else to. You can't combat that. It's just a lot of minutes played. I don't see, like last night. I'm looking and we're up 22, and these guys are still in the game with 2 minutes left. Now, like you said, not the minutes police, but you already got Cat out there hobbling. Josh was already out earlier in that game and came back in the game. You kind of want these guys to last as long as possible. I think I was a lot quieter last year about the minutes because it was like we had nobody else to play. But now it's kind of like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I don't. To me personally, like the other day when we had 5 guys with 40 minutes and we lose in the fourth quarter, it's like, what do you expect? You know what I mean? What did you really expect? I don't care how good, I don't care how smart they are, how high they are, how high their IQ is. I don't care how talented they are. Fatigue is a real thing. There's nothing you can't get around fatigue. There's no way to, you cannot play these guys. They don't practice. I hear that all the time. Cool. That's nice. At the end of the day, I cannot run the day before or run the day before. I'm going to feel the difference between playing 30 minutes and 40 minutes, no matter how much rest I've had. So I don't want to hear, oh, we're giving these guys rest here so that they can play all of these minutes. It doesn't make sense because you guys are going to have to play a lot of minutes. And, half the time you're in situations where you guys have to get the team out of a rut. And it's very hard to do that when you're fatigued. You know what I mean? Now, if you're doing that in certain times of the game, that's fine. But it's like all game long. It's like, bro, come on. Like, I don't know. So personally, I think something has to change with these minutes. Whether you're bringing in somebody else, you're trusting these guys. I don't see why Daddy can't play with Brunson, Towns, Hart, and OG. Why can't you swap out Mikal or Josh or just to put Daddy in there? I get you don't want to lose the game, so fine, don't lose the game. Put the guy in there so that he can play with the guys that know how to win the game so that he can learn from them instead of putting him in with a whole bunch of bench guys and not really learning much, because I truthfully don't think that bench guys don't learn too much when you're playing against just bench guys all the time. Like, you got to go against higher competition to see what you can bring. Sometimes higher competition brings more out of yourself than you would think. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? I think these guys deserve that. Kolek, the thing about Kolek with me is we have a lot of guards on the team. So it's hard to play him a lot of minutes. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for Dadier. You know what I mean? There's no excuse for Hukporti. I get Hukporti is not the greatest defender, but you don't have to play him for 15 minutes. get him some run out there so he knows. Like I feel like Obi kind of knows he's able to be a good role player on another team right now because he did play at least 10 to 15 minutes a game when he was here. People wanted him to play more. That was always going to be a discussion. But at the end of the day, he played minutes with our starters so that he can understand the game and what's expected at certain times of the game. So now even though he's not here, he can be effective other places. He has value because a team can say, oh, okay, well, we know what he can do when we can, if we got to rely on him for whatever that need is. But long-winded, but point is, these guys got to play. These guys have to play. You got to play these guys minutes, and you got to rest more than playing those other guys. You got to rest the guys that you need at the end of the game as much as possible.
Yeah. So I want to touch on a few of those things real quick. First, shout out to my guy Lee. Appreciate you coming into the building. Love you, bro. This is a great take right here from Ron. He said, I honestly think Tibbs deserves the critique about minutes now because this year has been extreme and it's just the start of the season. We have seen him do this before, but never to this level. And so Nick Yak, I saw you say something about, yeah, I bet the other 15 are all, greats, da-da-da-da-da. And that's where sometimes like I vibe with a lot of your takes, but sometimes the lack of being able to criticize Tibbs for things that need to be criticized or where the rose-colored glasses come in. Because yes, there are some greats in that lineup, but guess what? Number 33 in the top 50 list is a guy that has killed us the last 2 times we played them in Colby White. Big difference maker, has been putting up probably his best numbers ever as an NBA player. He's 33rd. You want to talk about greats? Someone that's been in the greats category for the last however many years comes in at number 34 in Nikola Jokic. And if them, who he's one of the greatest in the league, if he can come in, with number 35 or 34 on the list, that's pretty impressive. Guess what? The head of the crazy dragon that's destroying the East in Donovan Mitchell, he's coming in at 41 for most minutes played in the top 50.
31 minutes per game. 31 minutes per game.
Okay. This crazy. Is Donovan Mitchell, whose team is leading the league right now. Devin Booker, who's a great player, 44th. So yes, there are some great players in that top 20, but there's also some freaking ridiculous stars that are coming in far beyond the numbers that are 5 guys. And I'm sorry, besides maybe Towns, I don't know another player that you're saying is having, the same level of greatness conversations as Nikola Jokic. And if he can come in at number 34, let's not just act like it's a Tibbs crap don't stink kind of situation. Let's just be honest, that's just how it is. You can't praise Tibbs for the good and then ignore the things that need to be worked on. It's got to go both ways. Streets go 2 ways. There's the in and the out. You got to be real. If not, that's where crashes come in, my guy. So you just got to be careful with that. Eru, what are your thoughts?
I'm with you, man. I like that you pointed out those the rankings as far as minutes and stuff, because that eliminates the argument right there, but you're bringing it in a basketball term. You're not just like, it's like not a badgering thing. It's like a logic thing. You know what I'm saying? We have to. There has to be some type of logic to this thing here. And you're blessed with a certain roster. You're a professional coach. You have a bunch of coaches and stuff. You analyze your roster. You know what guys can do. So when you put them in there, we should be able to get something out of them. So you have to utilize the guys that you have. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have guys that you trust, man, you still have to do what you have. That's just the way it is. How many teams that we play recently that players that you'd never heard of, you know what I'm saying? They look like NBA My players, come out there and they're giving us work. They may not be dominating a game or whatever, but they're contributing enough where like, it's allowing other players on their team to get rest and stuff like that. So I mean, why can't we be the same? We like just like everybody's given the same 24 hours, and they people say, "Oh, I'm able to do this in 24 hours," but you have to play the cards that you dealt. You know what I'm saying? And it's very frustrating. It's just very frustrating.
Yeah, and so one thing I want to say is, and we'll talk about this there, is a lot of people are using the excuse of, um, well, we don't practice. Like a lot of these players that aren't playing as many minutes, they have, pretty strict practices that they're a part of. We don't do a lot of that outside of the game, so we're not putting in tons of minutes in practice. And matter of fact, Isaiah Hartenstein, when he was asked about the different coaching styles between where he's at now with OKC and Tibbs, he said something about like the Tibbs minutes and how like they didn't do a lot of practice. Um, and that for some was kind of freeing on Knicks Twitter. Like, see, Tibbs isn't running them in the ground. They don't even practice. And then I started going, wait, are we rejoicing over the words that we don't practice? Like, how many games have we watched where we have missed like 20 free throws and we go, yo, Tibbs better be like drilling these guys in practice. They better spend their time at the free throw line, da 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 da. And then it happens that next game and we're like, yo, why are they missing so many free throws? You know why? Because they didn't practice. The thing that you just rejoiced about, the fact that we don't have our players logging in minutes in practice, is because they're not practicing because they're playing so much on the court. But
So
you're not learning to fix mistakes by more minutes on the court. You're learning by figuring out what you did wrong, practicing it so that you can do it better the next time you play. If you're not practicing, you're not finding time to tweak what's broken.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I was gonna say real quick, like I do think they still do shoot arounds. You know what I mean? I do think they practice their free throws, which I think is still weird that you're missing so many. But when it comes to the young guys, what do you if Tibbs is such a stickler on you have to prove to me that you can play in these situations, when are they going to get to play and prove these situations to you if they're not practicing? You know what I mean? And that's just always been my main point is, all right, well, I get that.
I had to throw the sound effect in there. Bam! Drop the hammer. That is the big point right there you just made.
But you know what I mean? Like, how are these guys going to get your trust? How are they earning your trust? There's no way for you're literally not giving them an opportunity to earn your trust, bro. And that's just odd. It's odd as hell.
And that's a great point because where did you hear like Emmanuel Quickly talk about where he got his confidence? By playing practice with, Derrick Rose and Derrick Rose like teaching him things and stuff like that. So if our rookies can't get minutes in a game, but they're not going to play actual like hard, practicing drills and stuff like that and like actual like full on, aggressive basketball scrimmages, how are they going to get any better? Like they're not playing minutes in the game. They're not playing aggressively in practice. Like, so I don't understand the people that go, they have to earn it. Where do they earn it?
Where?
Like,
You guys got a cigarette? I need a cigarette, man. I just pulled out my CBD that's all rotten on the side of my thing. I got CBD. I think I'm about to roll the CBD blunt in a few minutes, man. Man, you just stressed me out with that, man. With that, that is huge, man. You know what I'm saying? How, like that explains everything. How do you like earn the trust? Like you're earning in practice. That's old school, right? But if you're not practicing,
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Shout out to Lee. He did have a good question.
oh my god.
Yeah. What up, Deej? What up, Deej? Lee said, "What are your thoughts on starting Shamit over Josh? Lots of benefits. This is my hot take for the season on what Tibbs could do. I personally think that helps the bench a lot. But we know Tibbs is, even though he might start on the bench, he's gonna play a lot of minutes still. You know what I mean? So I think but I do think starting him on the bench, would help the bench unit, but that's the only way. I think that's the only way we would be able to bolster our bench significantly without actually making a trade. That's the only way I think we'd be able to do it. But like I said, Josh is gonna play. I feel like no, Tibbs doesn't trust anyone more than he trusts Josh, or maybe Mikal a little bit now. But since last year and the year before, man, I think Josh is just that guy that Tibbs will put out there no matter what the situation is, especially now that he's shooting threes, and with confidence, taking them. That was the only issue I really had with him last year is if they're leaving you open, take the three, bro. Like, what are you doing? So now he's taking it and he's making it. So I think I see you still going through it, Yeru.
Yeah, man. Because it's like you're saying it right. So Lee asked me to say, "Yo, what do you think about like starting Shamit, whatever?" You know what would help that cause if we tried it out in say it with me now.
Practice.
Oh God, man.
Here's the thing. One thing I love about Lee is he thinks outside of the box. Whether it would work or not. And I think that's my biggest frustration sometimes with Tibbs is
doesn't think outside the box.
He doesn't think outside of the box to try things. Like if we're talking about our team needs time to gel, if something's not gelling quick, why can't we try something else and see if it gels a little bit better? The thing about Hart is with Towns in that starting lineup, even though Josh is still getting a lot of boards, Towns is consuming a lot of those. Like Towns is having like a historic year for his rebounding. So that obviously takes away some rebounds that Josh Hart could get. So if Josh Hart was coming off the bench and getting those rebounds off the bench, that fixes the issue that we have of second chance opportunities for points. Because the problem with our like bench unit and the low scoring is that we don't have straight up like just beast mode, type scorers. However, if they get enough opportunities, Campaign will get the shot. Or McBride will get the shot. Precious Achua will get, a cut into the basket. But they need those extra opportunities. And Josh Hart could afford those. The other thing about Josh Hart is it brings a level of playmaking and passing that you don't see in that second unit. Even with McBride there, McBride is not the greatest playmaker. As good as he is, he's not a great playmaker. And now you have Josh Hart, who you saw yesterday, even against starters, his confidence has gotten through the roof where he's taking you to the basket. He spin moved past you, taking it to the basket. So if he can easily score like that against starters, imagine the amount of like feasting he could do at the table if it's a whole bunch of, reserves that he's playing against. Like if he can do that against your elite defenders in your starting lineup, then he's definitely going to be able to do that off the bench, even more so. And that would skyrocket our bench scoring through the roof as well. So Lee, if you would have just told it to me, like at a conversation at the table where I was just like going to give you a one quick answer, I would have been like, stop. But being able to actually like think about it and chew it, I think it could work. I really do think that that's something that could work. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I like it too. I love to hear people like sometimes like you said, like you say hell no, but then the more you talk about it, it's like, oh well maybe, you know what I'm saying? So I love it, man. Hot takes or just people just throwing something out there just to talk about it. I love it, man. So good stuff there.
And that's a great point too by JT Riddick. Like people are like, oh, Mikhail's not. Well, Mikhail doesn't really have to use his length and everything like that to grab boards when you have Karl Anthony Towns grabbing, like 14 to 20 a game and Josh Hart grabbing another 10 to 15, like where's he going to get those boards? But if Shamit came in and Mikhail had a little more opportunities, I think we could see him, take that position from Josh of grabbing the rebounds. So honestly, I think that's a great take. So shout out to you, Lee, for thinking outside of the box and giving us something to talk about.
That is tough though, because if you start Shamit, for his career, like we said it a few times, he only averaged like 1 rebound per game in his career, 1-2 rebounds, but also this guy Mikhail only about 3, and then OG he's been getting about 5, you know what I'm saying? So, like, just right there, it just tells you that the Knicks need to get another forward here, some type of forward, to help out with that.
And this is another good point. Doesn't matter how good our bench is, starters have to get rest. Well, if Landry Shamet goes into that starting lineup, Josh Hart goes into that bench, now you at least have one player that has starter capabilities and star performance coming off the bench. And, we can see a little bit more flexibility in where the minutes get distributed, just opportunities, like even campaign, if I know you have your rotations, that's the thing, is players in a Tibbs system know when to walk over to the corner because they already know it's their time to come out. Like they've played a certain amount of minutes. They know that it's this many minutes, and then they walk over. Like it's kind of on a clock with a lot of these guys. You don't see that a lot with a lot of coaches. Like sometimes you'll see like a player be like, "Oh, I'm coming out." Okay, and like they'll be like, "Who's coming out? Who's coming out?" But our team already knows because it's kind of like clockwork.
Right.
But if Campaign's having a great game, why does he have to come out? Because he's played the amount of minutes that Campaign is supposed to play during his first substitution. If he's sharp shooting threes left and right, why not give him an extra 2 minutes out there? Why does it have to be so, rigid, so strict, so structured?
Yeah.
Quick question. I know I keep going back to Daddy. I don't trust me. I'm not saying Daddy is like the second coming, but question: have you guys seen at any point where Daddy looked like he couldn't keep up with like the NBA and just the speed and the pace of the NBA? Have you ever felt like he couldn't keep up, or did you feel like, oh, this guy might actually be a little bit better than I thought he was?
Well, I talk about the summer league. Summer league, it was shell shock because it's really just a glorified pickup game. So yeah. He didn't play well then. But preseason, when it was organized and stuff, and he got into different space, he looked fantastic. I thought he played well enough where he can get minutes. Same thing with T.J. Warren. But I think just the you mentioned those two guys, and we're talking about swapping and rebounding and stuff, and then I see somebody talking about forwards. That's what it is. We need a 6'8" guy. We need somebody 6'8" that can get in there and get in the mix of everything. Get some scoring going, shooting, get some rebounding, play some defense. We need a 6'8" guy. We got him, man. We got Dadier right there.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Phil?
What sucks is it's like when you see probably like 1/4 of a movie, you don't really know if that movie was going to be good or not because you didn't get to see enough of the movie. Right. There were things that you liked about the movie and you were like, yeah, I think I could like this movie. Like there was, one character I didn't really like, but the rest of it was good, but you don't get to see enough of the movie to actually know if it's a good movie. Mm-hmm. That's unfortunately what it was with Dadier. Right. Like, I feel like I saw enough to want to finish watching the movie. And then the theater was like, we're closing down, and it's like, like, or the TV breaks and you're just sitting there like, wait, what's going on?
How did this end? Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's frustrating for me because it's like, I want to know how the story ends. I want to know how the rest of the movie would play out if we actually were able to sit down and watch it. So I don't know, man. I it's one of those things that I saw enough to want to see more.
Right.
I saw enough to want to see more minutes, to want to see more opportunities, to want to see what he was capable of.
It's like a TV show that got canceled, and you was like, "Damn, I would have liked to see a couple more movies, but then more episodes, but it got canceled." So.
Yeah. It was. What's that? That one show with Ice Cube's son, and he was the head basketball coach.
I know what you're talking about.
Swagger.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Swagger.
That show Swagger. It had like insane ratings for the launch of it and everything like that. And then all of a sudden the network was just like, oh yeah, we're kind of going in another direction. They had no reason why they were canceling the show or anything like that. The ratings were like great. but it left you at a part of the story that you're just like, well, how does this pan out? Like I'm invested. We bought into this kid, and now we can't see where his career goes. I feel like that's how it is with Dottier, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
So appreciate you all right now. We got about 203 rocking with us right now. Shout out to David Smith up in the building. Shout out to Dave who came in. Shout out to Umberto for being here. Shout out to Space Ghost. Appreciate you always coming through. Shout out to, once again, my guy Lee Escobedo for making our minds work tonight. And I thought I was just going to have a little bit of scotch and just chill with what I already had planned, but no. Ron said, I think Tibbs has done this before. Dottier might leapfrog other players on the bench who are making money, and Tibbs is shelving Dottier because the fans will fall in love with him over Cam, Landry, etc. I think that could be true.
Great point.
It's a great point.
And
right
also
here,
to keep his value low before trade deadline too.
Yep. And which is crazy because it's just like, if you're not going to play a guy, let his trade value go up. Like, I just never understand that mindset, but whatever.
How you gonna hide the love from me, man? Don't hide your love from me, baby. Come on, man. What are you doing to me, man? You're playing with my emotions.
Goodness gracious. Duraz said Mitch is our savior. I don't know about that, my guy. We'll see how that goes. I just want to see him be somebody. Mitch. Like let him come in and just play a game this season. I'll be happy.
I thought RJ was going to injure him when he was giving him the handshake. I was like, oh my God, please stop shaking Richard Robinson. Oh my God.
I didn't catch it. So it's been hard for me to catch a lot of the games because of that MSG and Affinity, whatever the name of that company is. Optimum. And man, it's just I've been having a hard time watching the games. I do actually catch them all. I'm not gonna say how because that's not legal, but whatever. It doesn't matter at this point. Alternate streams. But I didn't catch a lot of it. You know what I'm saying? So I missed the beginning of the game. I missed honestly like the whole first quarter trying to catch the game, and I finally caught it. But so I missed that part.
All right. So one thing I want to talk about, because I saw some comments when we were talking about Tibbs and people, justifying the minutes and stuff like that. I always find it funny when we're considered like haters for having opinions and whatnot. Yet you can watch an MSG stream with Clyde Walt Frazier and Mike Breen saying, why is Tibbs doing this? Why are the starters still in with 2 minutes left? They can say it and it's, oh, well, he's so funny with his crazy outfits and cool little slogans. But for anyone else, it's an issue. Mike Breen can straight up talk about the injuries that happened. He straight up in this last game talked about injuries that have happened to Knicks players under Tibbs for having them in at points of the game where they did not need to be in. He talked about RJ's injury. He talked about, I think it was one of Julius's injuries. Like, he mentioned 3 injuries that happened at times where it shouldn't happen. And he's mentioned how Tibbs has said, well, a game's not over till it's over. And he goes back to this one story about this one game where he pulled his players, and they're just like, we understand that, but is the risk worth the reward? Those guys see it the same exact way that we do.
Yeah.
And they're being paid by MSG to talk about the games. So I don't know why certain fans act like we are just haters for seeing our players be in. You got freaking Towns who's holding his knee, throughout the whole freaking game. And we had that game locked. Even within 5 minutes left of the game, they weren't coming back. They started pulling players. There's no reason why our number one should be hurt with his knee still on a basketball court. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. There's no reason for any of that. And if those guys can say it and it's all, fine and dandy, there should be no difference when we say it. So I'm just going to say it, like, that's foolishness to me. That's putting ourselves in positions that we don't need to be in. We don't want to see these guys get injured. We don't want to see something happen for no reason. Next point I'll pull up is right here. David Smith. I know certain people are acting like we're ridiculous for even having conversation of Mitch trades, like as if that makes us a bad fan or a bad supporter of the Knicks. Like, I have news for you all. The reason Dante DiVincenzo is no longer a Knick is because the Knicks tried to trade Mitch and the Timberwolves didn't want him. So why are you getting mad at like us for talking about possibilities of what could be different without Mitch here when our organization for a long time has been shopping him, and it's come out that it's not that they haven't been shopping him, but that teams haven't bought in to any trade that he's a part of. So that's not us not supporting him and the team really, really loving and wanting him to be here. Like, they're the ones that can make the decision to let him go and move him. We can't. We can only have opinions, but they, have tried to shop him. And the league is saying he doesn't have value. And you know why they know he doesn't have value and why they can say that, like, he's not being tradable? Because we've tried to trade. The only way you can know that teams aren't wanting to trade for somebody is because the attempt to trade that individual has been made. Like, no one can say, oh, teams haven't wanted him. How do you know? Oh, because teams have said they didn't want him in that trade. Like, it's a known fact. Shout out to Raptors World. Appreciate you for coming out. I think your guys is a young team. It will build. I do believe in it over time. I think you guys have a good structure and a coach that wants to get better and wants to win. So shout out to you for being in the building even after a loss last night. We appreciate you. I completely trust Leon Rose and Tibbs. That's the thing is I completely trust my wife, my kids, and that's about it. Like,
I don't even trust my wife, man. I don't even trust her either, man. She made something tonight for dinner. I'm looking at it like, I don't know, man. Did I do something to her yesterday? You don't want to eat that? No, I'm good. I'm trying to lose weight and stuff,
Like, I can see her trying to make something for you, man, because you something else, bro.
I love these guys right on the chat with me. I love my guy Lee Escobedo in the chat. I love my guy Ron. But I don't completely trust them. Like, I don't know, like that's just crazy. Like, if I'm doing like one of those like church retreat like trust falls, yeah, I'll do that. But am I jumping off a building thinking that you're going to be there for me? Nah, bro. Like, there's certain things that going too far. But anyway, shout out to my boy Lee. He said Phil been cooking lately. Shout out to JT Reddick. He said,
Facts.
I'm on one. Appreciate it. But that's just the thing is like, I don't trust them completely. Do I think that they've done great things and they're the best combo that we've had in years? Oh, yeah, like easily, especially Leon Rose, like pulling off things that, I could not see happening. But does that mean I completely trust? No. Do I more trust him than I trust Tibbs? Yes. Because I feel like Leon has more time than not in the past 2 years surprised me and rose past the expectations that I wanted for him. I feel like Tibbs meets expectations and every once in a while will surprise you. So if I had to go one way or the other, more so Leon than I would trust in Tibbs, but it is what it is. What are your guys' thoughts?
In terms of the trust?
Yeah, like, do you feel like stuff like that, it is merited? Like,
I trust Leon because, like you said, he has proven to me time and time again that he can make things happen when you don't think it's possible. Now, I do think he has a team behind him. I think Brock Aller has a lot to do with that. But I mean, he did hire him, so I mean, you still got to go back to Leon at the end of the day, for plucking him from another franchise because he knew how valuable he was. But so yeah, I do trust Leon. I do trust Leon that with whatever position, I do trust that this front office, I will say that this front office will make the best possible move that they can make, and if there's no move, they won't. I haven't seen them make a move that puts them in the negative yet. I just haven't seen it happen. So I'll give them that. You know what I'm saying? Every trade, no matter how much we liked it or disliked it, it always worked out for us. So I'm giving Leon Rose my trust. I mean, well, the front office my trust. Tibbs. I really want to trust Tibbs. I have trusted Tibbs in the past. And I can't say that he's disappointed necessarily, but there are things that I do want. You know, you ever had a coworker that like I don't want us to get rid of this guy, but he does have flaws. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just as simple as that. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get rid of Tibbs because he is responsible for a lot of the DNA of this team. I mean, damn near 100%, basically, the DNA of this team. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's flawless. You know what I mean? I'd be dumb to say he's flawless. You know what I mean? So I get defending him, but you have to defend him also with the idea that he can definitely make improvements. And if he doesn't see improvement, if you don't see improvements, then okay, yeah, he's human. He's human. Sometimes people don't correct their mistakes. So, but yeah, that's just me.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
I don't trust anybody. I just tell you, I don't trust anybody. I don't love anybody. I don't like to say I love you, none of that stuff, man. So, but same thing. Like you just have to. What's up?
I love you, bro.
I knew you were gonna say.
I like hugs, though. I like hugs. I don't mind getting hugs and stuff, man.
I'm gonna hug you and tell you I love you at the next time I see you.
All right, but keep your hands where I can see them. That's all I need. Keep your hands where I can see them.
No promises.
Yeah, but in life you have to play the cards that you're dealt, man. So I mean, like, you can't really control about who's the person in charge and stuff. But things are working, whatever that's happening right now. So you just go with that, and just history also does play a part. I know Apollo just said something about that, so I mean, there's a track record of what Leon Rose has done so far. So based off the track record, we can expect certain results, when certain milestones in the season come. So the trade deadline is coming. So Leon Rose has he's been making moves at the trade deadline if necessary. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just have to just wait and see, because it's not like we just have like the secret, like, oh, we know what's happening. We need this, we need that. The front office have proven that they have a board, in place where they know what they need. They know what they can do to get what they need. You know what I'm saying? So that I trust that, all jokes aside, I trust that they do have that in place. And if something makes sense and it's possible to make, and the other team wants to play ball with us, I think something will get done. But there's not, what you can't trust is you can't trust that that's going to happen. You just have to trust what's out there, and just kind of just go with that. When the shit hits the fan, really, you just have to just trust what we have, and then that's it.
So here's one thing I'll say. First, all jokes aside, too, I'm letting everybody know my goal by the end of this season is to have Iru say "I love you" back on the show. All right. That's my new goal. He will say he loves you back.
Yeah.
All right.
He almost died just now.
I don't know why I took a sip. I knew something was coming. I should have waited.
I'm gonna no Diddy, but this is just like straight brotherhood. I'm gonna send you roses. I'm gonna send you chocolates. I'm gonna send you little pennants that you could wear, little charms that you could wear on your necklace with my face in it. Like whatever I do.
My God.
By the end of this season, all right. And I'm gonna and once it happens, I'm gonna get a jersey, one for me, one for Apollo, one for Iru. I'm gonna have number 3, because that's my Starks. All right. You're gonna have number 1, Apollo. Iru's gonna have 4, and we're gonna stand together. It's gonna say 1, 4, 3, and it's gonna say I on one of them, love on the other, you. So when we're in public, it says I love you as we stand side by side at all the watch parties. So that's my first take. Second take, in regards to what JT Riddick put, he said the front office always has shown a direction and they stick with it. Yes, he also said the one I was trying to do was the players love him too. That's the dangerous thing. You fire Tibbs and the locker room is upset. I agree with that in a sense. But you also got to realize that, like, they all know that this is a business. They all know that this is a sport. They all know that this is something that, it is something that they have to do. So you talk to the guys about that trade, and they talk about how they were upset that Dante was traded, that they were disappointed that Dante was traded, and they, have to get over it, and that they know that it's a business. Doesn't make it easy, but they know that it's a business. So I think eventually, if that was to happen, they get over it. Am I saying that should happen? No. That's one of those jumping off the ship way too early kind of situations. Like, you're looking at our seating. We're still third in the East. We still have a 658 win percentage. So we're still having a good season. We thought that Boston would be ahead of us. We knew that from the get-go. We knew that they were going to be the team to, beat. The shocking and surprising thing, though, was Cleveland. None of us thought this was going to happen. That was a complete, crazy, out of nowhere thing. To know that they are 32-4, like that changes things. So besides the thing that no one, even NBA analysts, thought was going to happen, everything else is happening accordingly. Like, we're still behind Boston like we expected to be. We still thought that they would be our competition, but Cavs surprised us. Cavs came out of nowhere, so it kind of changed things up. But we still have a winning record. We're still, a good team. It's too early to have fire Tibbs kind of conversations. I think that's a little ridiculous. Just like I thought it was ridiculous to have, like, trade this player or trade that player, because they're underperforming at the start of the season. But it is one of those things where it's what happens throughout the rest of the season. Like, if it comes out that, okay, minutes didn't do anything and we rose to the occasion and we did amazing. Okay, I was wrong. Easy to say that. But if it comes to a point that the minutes does become an issue, causes an injury, causes us to get, too exhausted to contend with a lot of these teams at the end of the season, because that's when minutes really start to take a toll. When you're, 70 games in and you've played 40 minutes every single game for 70 something games, when that starts to happen, okay, then what? Like, does the other side of the coin go, hey, Phil, you were right? Or are they still stubborn and find a different kind of excuse? Or say, hey, that injury had nothing to do with 40 minutes a game. We've heard that story before too. I'm willing to say, hey, I was wrong. Like, I was definitely wrong. But I don't think the other side of the coin is, and that's always the unfortunate thing of what we do is, like, being able to call it how it is either way, but people that aren't willing to. So here we go. It's 10:13, so we won't be on too late. We appreciate 230 plus of you in the chat. Y'all got me all excited. My wife just texted me and said, stop yelling. I think I might have woke my son up, so I'm gonna be, like, dead. If you don't see me next week, now you know what happened. Y'all know the story. But we got OKC coming up tomorrow. I think that's gonna be a big test. It's not on a back-to-back. We're at home, so we can't use the excuse of traveling or anything like that. Towns should be, fine. Hopefully nothing crazy from what we saw from his knee and everything like that. What are your guys' thoughts on tomorrow's game? Do you think we go away with the victory? Do you think it's as close as it was before? Do you think we get blown out? What do you guys think is going to happen tomorrow? I'll go with you first, Eru.
Well, I see you have the sexy voice on now, because you don't want to wake the kids up. So the sexy voice is on. So, hey, Eru, what do you think about
Hey, Eru, what do you think, my guy?
Hey. Oh.
It's turned to...
This is actually this is my Ron from Still Knicks fans voice. You're now rocking with Still Knicks fans.
Yeah.
So if you're still watching, oh yeah, baby, the Knicks play tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Nah, go ahead, E-Room. My bad, bro.
But we were talking. I was talking about this earlier with this game. The OKC and the Bucks. We played the Bucks right after. These are two big games here, statement games. And you mentioned about the Knicks. The Knicks are still playing well. The last 10 games were still 7-3. The last 10. So the stuff that we're talking about is just that stuff that we're concerned about because we know where we can go. At the end. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what it's all about. But it's about protecting the house. We got to protect MSG. OKC's they're gonna come bring with it whatever they have, but we have to show them, what they showed us. We just got to give them a taste of their own medicine, just to show that we're here. Same thing with the Bucks too. So the flip ahead, we literally played the Bucks on Sunday too. So good stuff, man. This is why we love sports. We love sports for the competition and for what's the next game. We follow the season because there's always another game to get up for it, man. So this is what it's all about.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Paul?
I think we take this one tomorrow. I think we kind of had them figured out, and then we ran out of gas, and then their bench guys came in and started hitting threes, and that was it. I think once that happened, that blew the game open for them, and then they just had control of the game. I think we managed the game a little bit better this time. I mean, we only played them twice, so we managed the game a little bit better. I think we get out ahead a little bit earlier, and I think we pace the game the way we want to play instead of the way that the way the last game went. I do think minutes had a lot to do with it, but it is what it is. I think we learned from our lesson. I think that they are going to try their best to pace the game. It's very hard. This guy Shai Gilgeous is having a hell of a season. I mean, it's like every play, like he attracts so much attention. He drives to the paint and he dishes out, and it works every time because you have to guard him. You have to guard him. Sometimes you got to send two guys at him because you're not gonna have him go at Brunson.
He's slippery.
You know what I mean? Like, right. So it's like, it's very hard to guard them. They get a lot of open threes because of Shai, however you say SGA. So I mean, I think that it's not going to be an easy game. I mean, aren't they the best team in the NBA right now? Is it? No. It's still Cleveland, right?
Still Cleveland, yeah.
Still Cleveland.
It's still Cleveland, but it's going to be a tough game. But at the end of the day, I think we've seen enough to be able to handle these guys, and come out with a victory. Hopefully, Cat, like we spoke about earlier, hopefully Cat isn't hobbled. You know what I mean? It's at MSG. Hopefully, we get the 6 man of the crowd in there. And I think we take this one tomorrow.
Yeah, we have tape too. Tom Thibodeau does good if he has tape to review. So
yeah. So a few things to consider. First, they were hoping to have him back. Alex Caruso will not play tomorrow as well. So that goes in our favor. But it was listed that Karl Anthony Towns is now put back on as questionable for playing tomorrow. He's back on the injury report as questionable for tomorrow, which could be a big factor without Towns playing against OKC, because I honestly don't see many people besides Towns stopping iHeart from having his way at center if Towns is not playing. But another thing to look at is this is the kind of team that gets fueled after a loss. Like, they do not like losing. And they just barely lost that last game against Cleveland the other night. So they lost by 7 to Cleveland in the fourth. So they are the kind of team that they fight hard to get back into the win column. So you better believe that they do that. And there's some players that, are really good. But then some players that when the bright lights are the brightest, that's when they shine the most. SGA is that kind of player. SGA is the kind of player that he loves being box office. Like, he just loves it. So it's something we definitely need to watch, because I do think we played great in that last game, but it's also one of those things that I feel like OKC clicked on all cylinders in that fourth quarter. And if you watch a lot of their games, the scary thing about them is that in a lot of those games, they click on all cylinders from the start of the first quarter. Like they didn't click on all cylinders, in the first three quarters. So I'm hoping we go away with the W. I think without Towns, it would be a huge mismatch. And just like, Ron said right here, he's our biggest weapon against OKC because they can't stop him. But without him, it's a whole different game. So I'm hoping that we rise to the occasion tomorrow. I think it's something that's needed, because after the 3 losses that we faced, the Toronto game was not a game that was willing to pipe up the fan base that are like frustrated and angry. Like they didn't go, "It's all good. We beat the Raptors." Like no one's seeing that as like a feat. So
Got to be a good team, man.
Yeah, we beat OKC and the Bucks. If we beat both, man, that would give us a lot of energy in the fan base, definitely.
Exactly. So and honestly, like we are 2.5 games, I believe, right? Yeah, 2.5 games behind Boston.
Boston.
The only way to start closing that out is winning multiple games. Like we need to go on, some good win streaks. Right now they're on a 1 win, and so are we. Cleveland's on an 11, so that's a whole different conversation. But if we can get on a string of good like victories, and they lose 1 or 2 here, that gets us closer to where we want to be. So I'm hoping we take that victory tomorrow, but we'll see. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think we take that victory? Do you think we take that loss? Let us know. Do me a favor if you guys can. There's over 250 of you guys rocking with us right now. If you could hit the like button and that subscribe button, we would truly appreciate it. Turn on the notifications so that you can rock with us on Thursdays at 8 p.m. If there's certain people you would like for us to have on the show, whether it's another content creator or another person that is in the industry, let us know. We would love to hear you guys' thoughts on who you would like to have conversations with. If you like the show, please spread the word. Put out a tweet, put out Instagram reel or whatever. Just let people know where to find us. If you guys could just hit, copy the link on YouTube, post it on your Twitter, let people watch it on the replay gang. The more people we get here, the better. Not because we care so much about numbers, but we love building the community. We love being able to go back and forth with takes. We respect everybody's takes in here, whether we respect the take individually or not. We respect the people that are doing the take. So thank you guys for rocking with us. Any final thoughts, guys, before we close out?
I just think we need to catch some steam. Next 6 games are pretty. It's we only play two teams that I'm not worried about. We play OKC, then the Bucks, like you mentioned, but then we play the Pistons, which we lost to the last time we played them. So we need to get our act together with that one. Sixers, and then we play the Timberwolves and the Hawks. So and Timberwolves are starting to wake up a little bit, and the Hawks have already been balling. So we got to really catch ahead of steam and get rolling, because that's what I did like about last month. We didn't really figure it out, but we were able to string together 9 games against some bad teams, just for the sake of our record. No one's gonna look back and say, "Oh, you guys beat a bunch of whack teams at this point." No one's gonna know. A win is a win, loss is a loss. But I think we needed that cushion for runs like this. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important for us to get these games together, get these wins out of the way, and string together some good chemistry for the team.
Yeah, I mean, the next couple games you mentioned a few. we kind of don't get a break for a while, man. So we have to start making it happen. Just like catching some steam. No shit, man. We got to start, manufacturing these wins and stuff. The minutes thing is a real thing, because we're gonna have to manage that stuff throughout this whole trip. So I mean, I'm positive. I'm positive the Knicks are still gonna be able to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? But somebody mentioned Indiana Pacers are coming up. They are actually. They won 4 straight. So there's other teams starting to make their little run and stuff, man. So if the Knicks fool around, we could fall a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We definitely don't want that to happen, man. So anyway, this is all fun. So I'm just enjoying it, and I'm just hoping everybody else is too. Outside of trying to get their takeoff, hope they're just enjoying the ride too as it's happening.
Facts.
Yeah, no, appreciate you all. Like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Next few games are going to be important. I think we got to go into this next month strong. It'll show us what we need to do. All-Star break will give us some time to kind of assess how to fix those things. Maybe we'll actually have some practice in that time off. We'll see. No putting all our money on that one, but I appreciate all you guys so much for being in the chat. Some of y'all that are just showing up, like Taryn Mosley, appreciate you for coming out. If you're coming in late, please watch the replay. Thank you all once again. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. God bless you all. Drink responsibly. Have a good week, and until next time,
I do not love you.
We will see you Thursday. And
I don't love you.
I love you.
I don't.
Look at that. Jerseys are getting bought. Jerseys are getting bought.
Love you, bro. 1
Love
4 3.
No love in my heart, man.
1 4
And we
3.
love you all. Appreciate you. And on that note, adios.
This is the moment we waited for. Everything you want is right here. We gon' give them what they came for. We gon' take it up from last year. Shoot 'em my shot, boy, I'm long range. Me and the team on the same page.